Well, hello, good evening, guys. This is Mr. Takeover, your host with the Sofa Real Talk. If you're watching this on YouTube, I ask you guys to go ahead and subscribe, like, kick, scream at the like button, just caress it, and so that we can get our videos going and showing into the algorithm of that YouTube universe. I can say this year has been probably one of my best years. Had some great guests on, some great topics. It's like one of those slightly bittersweet moments right here. This is like the last episode of the season. I do, however, have some news about the Soul for Real Talk. There are going to be some changes here and how I do the episodes and whatnot. I don't know if you have noticed that we've updated and changed the branding of me and my wife's podcast, the Soulful Pillow Talk. We're actually, well, God has placed it on my heart to focus a little bit more on that because that's my journey. That's my purpose. God has commissioned for me to work more on finding the relationship between two people. And so that's what we're going to work on a little bit more. I will practically do, well, I'm thinking about still doing the Soul for Real Talk, but it's probably going to be once a month. So it's pretty much going to be stretched out over the year. Um, Maybe like 6 episodes or whatnot. But I wanted to end this season off pretty good with a little bit about myself. I talk about myself a lot. I do a lot of deep diving and throwing myself up under the bus in every episode that we've had. But I think this one, because it's the end of the Soul for Real Talk season and possibly a finale of sort. Um, I just wanted to get a little deeper. So for you that know me, you know that I'm Laron Laren. But sooner or later, if you see my little handle, it's going to be Takeover after a while. The title of this show is Understanding Your His Story. His meaning you and your story. You have to, well, let me first say, nowadays more than ever, we're going through a healing process. A lot of people are going to counseling. Um, they're finding their way. They're finding paths. They're finding confidence in self. But there is still a high percentage of people that are running from their story. And what I mean about that, I mean about the past. And I always had this saying, and I'm going to put it in the comments. The present creates the past. Well, no, I said it wrong. Okay, the present makes the past that then creates the future. I know people say that it's past, present, and future first. Think about this. In order for the past to be the past, you have to make it first. You have to go through it. And so, like right now, me talking to you, this is not going to be the past until it's gone past. So I've always realized for me, God has placed it on a plate for me that the present is always the present, past, and then the future. The past is a lesson. The past is a teaching point where we can't be afraid to dissect our past. Now, I don't mean go back and sit in it and constantly doing the same thing that you used to do or waddle in it and get depressed about it, right? I mean, you should be able to turn around the same way that you go to a um like a like a get together, Thanksgiving. You know how everybody's laughing and giggling about old times, and but as soon as a person comes up and says, I don't remember it like that. Those days was hard for me. What that does at a gathering is that causes an unease. And now everybody's kind of upset. Why would you bring that up? Why are we sitting up here having fun and talking? And to that person's the fence, what if they didn't bring it up in a sense of I'm pissed off, and which some people do, believe it or not. But let's take it like this. This person wasn't doing it in a sense of trying to piss people off, but just stating a fact. I didn't enjoy that moment. Why can't we do that? I personally find myself at gatherings with my family where I already know I can't be honest with how I felt at a certain situation that we had, a gathering or just a moment in the life of my family, because I've already been told that never to bring that back up again. And for me, I started to realize is that it wasn't that I had a problem with it after I got over it, that those people still have a problem with it, and they're just not accepting that they have a problem with it. And I do truly believe that's part of the story of you that we tend to run away from. We run away from a lot of trauma. We run away from a lot of hardship. We run away from a lot of truth. And I can only speak in the Black community because that's what I'm a part of. And I'm not saying that this is in everybody's family, you know, but I've always been a black sheep. And so for me being that black sheep, I have been subjected to the way that I think, the way that I saw things just wasn't right. I had a lot of family members that felt as though their way of living, their way of thinking was better for me, and that I should be able to do that because they did it. It wasn't until I was like 30 something that I understood that the reason why I failed at a lot of things that I tried because it wasn't for me. And I tried to do it in order to make my family happy. This is my story. And it's funny because more than ever, God has placed so many things on my plate, so many paths, so many open doors for me to go down to get a picture, to get an understanding of what went on in my past, so that I can sit and, like I say, not soak in it, but say, oh, okay, I wasn't wrong then. They were. And it is totally okay, because you want to know why? As family, we tend to put ourselves off on everybody. Our beliefs, and it's not to say that your beliefs are not right, but I'm just saying sometimes we tend not to understand or try to understand a person, let alone our kids. And But it also took me to understand, like with my parents, it was this one thing, like with my mom. Bless her soul when it comes to this. She's not dead. I'm just saying bless her soul because it's a lot of stuff that she had to go through. Um, Stayed in a house where my mom always told me that I can be anything. I mean, anything I put my mind to. And I came to her one day and was like, hey, I think I want to venture out in being a salesperson. And her response was that it wasn't, okay, cool. You remember I've told you that you can be anything that you want to be, right? No, the response was, you sure you want to do that? Why won't you go work at that factory that is known to bring you money? Because one, you have a child already. And that broke me back then. I didn't understand why would she respond to me like that after constantly telling me that, hey, regardless of what you do, I know you can achieve it because you're special like that. That's the that's the confidence that she gave me in myself. And when I heard that, coming from her especially, it kind of like broke my spirit because now you're telling me that I don't think you'd be good at that, and you probably should go do that. That's probably better suited you, but I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. That's not my mind is not telling me I need to go work in four walls on an assembly line. No, that's not what my body is telling me. My body is pointing me in, my spirit is pointing me in a different direction. So I had a lot of that going on in my younger years. And it wasn't until I probably late 20s, having sit downs with my mom, open conversations, I realized that a lot of her saying that it wasn't that she didn't want to believe that I could be a great salesman. I knew that she believed that I could be anything that I could be, but a lot of it was herself. She didn't have confidence in herself. She didn't have confidence in saying that, okay, even though society tells me that in order to live, in order to be successful, that I have to go work in a factory job. And the fact that my child has a child, that he can't follow his dream. He can't go after what he thinks is best for him because right now he needs to go secure that type of job, that factory job that's going to bring in a six-figure type salary or whatnot. Not saying that I can't be one hell of a salesman, but society is telling her that that's what I had to do. So once I started understanding that, and I understood that my mom had faults, my mom had trauma, my mom had demons when it came from her parents, understanding that my parents did not know how to parent someone like myself, especially because I was different, always been different. I knew I was different. I knew I had a form of calling ever since I was little. And it's not until now that I'm able to walk in that calling because I know who I am. I know my story now more than anything. Yes, it took me late 30s to understand this and to start going down that path finally. But only way I was able to do that, I had to separate myself from my family. I had to disconnect. I had to get the real deep, dark realization that there, until I walk into it, they're not going to see it. They can't see it. It's not for them. So, Ms. Whitney says family members can be toxic. They do not get a pass on being toxic just because you share a bloodline. And that's true. And I wouldn't say, off of that, I wouldn't say that my mom was toxic. But again, my mom comes from a toxic motherly relationship with her mom. And, dang, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I guess one of my biggest things was now more than ever to have family tell me, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. You have become such, you know, you're positive now. You're more grown up." That for a while was like, what? What? Cause for me, what was sad for just for a small window, the person that I am now was the person that they were denying, the person that they couldn't see, the person that they did not want to see, the person that they told you shouldn't be that person. I was growing up to be the person that I am now, but it took me longer to get to where I am now because I believed in everything that my family put onto me, regardless if it didn't make sense to me in the way that God wanted me to go. And I understood because I wavered from that path. I took dark journeys because I didn't believe, because I believed more of what the people that called themselves loving me. And I'm not saying that they don't love me, they love me in the way that they love me, right? But again, these are the people, these are your parents, these are your cousins, these are your aunties, your brothers, your sisters. Why would they lie to you? You know, for a split second, I was dumb, I was stupid because my grandma, at the age of 12, went through like a whole span of a couple of years telling me I was stupid. And I held on to that. I thought what everything that they placed on me was normal and that I couldn't do their normacy. I wasn't normal. Something was wrong with me. I was broken. It had gotten so dark to where I became a cutter. I used to try to grab attention by, while I was in school, I used to hit my head on the desk. I literally used to run into trees when I was younger. One crazy. Uh, it was just, I can't sit up here and say, and God, I do thank you for, and I'm saying this on live, God, I do thank you for constantly coming at me because I can't say some of those moments of me running into the tree, it was me trying to shit voices up and telling me, hey, you know, you should be this, you can be this. This is what I need you to do. There's been moments where I talked to my parents about the things that I saw, the things that I heard. Um, they were not believed until, I think like late teenage years when I brought a couple of things to their attention and it actually happened. And that's when it was more or less like people were like, hey, so how you feeling about this situation and stuff like that. It wasn't something real big. Even my ex-wife was like that in my previous marriage. A lot of things she saw forehand, like personal, with some of the stuff that I saw, some of the stuff that I could see, stuff that I felt. There's plenty of times, hey, how you feel about this situation? Well, we finna do this, but what you think? And if I didn't feel right, we didn't do it. And then true enough, something happened. So um I've dealt with that ever since I was 3. I've always been able to read people's ever since I was 3. Um I knew when my grandma died, even though I didn't know my grandma. Um I even knew the shitty people that my dad called friends when I was 3 years old were shitty. It's like a moment that happened when I was 3 that I still know is like here etched in my brain. And to this day, he's not friends with those friends now. Some of them are. I don't think all of them are dead. I think some of them died, maybe, possibly. Some of them are still alive and they're still shitty. I can't stand them. It's like, ugh, give me a nasty taste in my mouth. Um, Ms. Warren says the fact that my family told me that they thought I was going to be in a bad shape, basically to make these statements short, and the fact that no one day my cry for help and judge me instead of helping. I got a lot of that too. She also stated that I did the same with the cutting, and someone told me that they were going to drop me off at the hospital and keep driving. But as an adult now and a parent, I know that they were scared. Yes, this is powerful. More people would be benefit for understanding that they are wrong, even though they love you. And see, that's the thing. I think we come short as of accepting that we may be wrong. Um, Something I definitely pride myself on more than anything, understanding that regardless of how many kids you have, them kids ain't the same. You cannot raise. All right, so discipline is discipline. Rules are rules. Now, let's sit up here and say that you have a 10 o'clock curfew across the board, no matter who it is, 10 o'clock curfew. When you turn 16, 10 o'clock curfew. We ain't changing. That's what it is, right? And so if you got everybody else on went cross and decided to follow the instructions, and just because you're different, it don't mean now those rules like that, we ain't changing those. But when it comes to the way that I like what's the word? Crap. Pew. I don't use this word. Oh, how I deal with you when it comes to how we socialize and whatnot. It's a difference with kids. I can't. One kid may be clingy. One kid may be standoffish. But that doesn't mean that that kid that's standoffish don't need attention. You probably have one child that talks a lot and a child that doesn't talk a lot. And then you just may have 2 or 3 kids that are similarly the same, but there are a slight difference. Us as parents, we don't, in the Black community, we don't sit down and recognize that. It's definitely when you got that age difference too, because you have a lot of, all right, prime example, my brother and my sister, they're quick to tell my mom that she spoiled me, that she allowed me to do a lot of things. I was hard-headed, naive, didn't listen. I caused a lot of problems. But what they failed to understand is that they did not live in the house that I lived in, just as much as I didn't live in the house that they lived in, because they were older than me. Even though me and my sister were in the same house for a few years, but we still saw things different. She's 4 years older than me. And after she definitely left, all hell broke loose for me. I was in the gang. But a lot of it was running from my parents. And they don't understand that because they didn't witness what I witnessed. I ran from my parents. I didn't like the atmosphere in the house. So me running was them saying that I was being disrespectful, because there was plenty of times where my mom was like, come back in this house, come back in this house. No, I don't want to be there. Because for me, the type of person that I am, I'm a family person. I've always been that ever since I was little. I always wanted that family, someone, and I'm not saying that family can't get along or family shouldn't not have, like, they should always have great moments. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that have disagreements, but we still should be family. But that's not what I lived in. My truth is, I saw a person that I cared about in my mom so deeply not get what she needed as a partner in my dad, what was present but absent at the same time. Knowing that my dad had dark, deep demons himself, knowing that my mom had dark, deep demons themselves, I saw it. I felt it. It was heavy. But you can't explain this stuff to people that don't understand spirituality in this sense. I don't know what cloth I was cut from, but I can say once I got older, And once I started expressing myself, I started realizing that Clotha was pretty much my mom. In that I was just my mom, but a boy. My mom didn't do me like her mom did her. She prided herself on trying to create a place for me to grow in a way that her mom didn't allow her, but then that hindered me as well and kind of put me right back into the same place that she's in. And it wasn't until I understood that I can't be what you guys want me to be because it's not meant for me. That's not what God wants me to do. That's not what God made me for. That's why I'm not here for that. It wasn't until I understood that, and to understand that, I had to know that normal was a lie. And I want to play a clip. And it's like God always give me something when I get ready to go to sleep. And so I go to sleep on it. I listen to it. It's just my bad about the grammar. Siri keeps correcting me. And you're fine. But I want to play this, right? We're going to play this. That's the wrong one. Oh, sure, definitely ain't that. Nope, definitely ain't that either. There we go.
People, when you say the myth of normal, what do you mean? And then after that, we'll get into what a toxic culture is.
I mean, two things. We have this idea that what is normal is also healthy and natural. And I'm saying that in this culture, the norm is neither healthy nor is it natural. In fact, the norm, I think, is making us sick. Number one. Number two, we talk about illnesses and of body and mind as abnormalities. I'm saying that illness in this society, given the conditions, is a normal response to an abnormal circumstance. So that's what I mean by the myth of normal.
Okay, so obviously you go into great detail about this in the book, and I remember at one point stopping and taking the note, like, wait a second. Basically, everything that we think of, like you're saying, is sort of a normal result of aging, or, oh, this is, just some people have this kind of response and it is what it is. It's just natural. It's all coming back to trauma, and it's all coming back to childhood trauma and a specific idea that we'll get to in a minute. But I want to push a little bit on that idea. So why is what we see in terms of things that we would categorize as mental health issues, or overly stressed lives, or all of the myriad things that we think of, like rheumatoid arthritis, one of the examples that you give. How is that an adaptive response?
Well, the rheumatoid arthritis is not an adaptive response in itself. It's the outcome of an adaptive response. So when you talk to people, and I've interviewed many, or you look at the research literature on who gets rheumatoid arthritis, it's people who are super conscientious. They have what's called hyper-autonomous self-sufficiency. In other words, they don't know how to ask for help. They looked after the emotional needs of others rather than caring for their own. They tend to suppress their healthy anger, and they really try to fit in and not make waves. And these people, that's an adaptation. This is how they adapted to their childhood. They grew up in families where they were not accepted, seen for who they were. They might have been traumatized. The adaptation was to make themselves, to suppress their authentic emotions and to try and fit in with other people's expectations and to meet other people's needs. That's the adaptation. But that adaptation puts tremendous stress on the person, and that stress causes the illness. So what I'm saying is that the illness is the outcome of an adaptation.
Okay.
I like this when it's this, like when I heard this, when I heard this, I said, boom, this is exactly what I've been trying to say to a lot of people, definitely my family. All right, for you guys that don't know me, I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And I tell a lot of people, even in our MS community, that I brought myself to be sick. I brought all this onto myself. And once I understood that, I became to become a little more healthier. Put myself up on the bus now and say that I ain't doing what I'm supposed to be doing now, and I'm paying for it. But the fact that I know that and I can say that is for me a triumph more than anything, because now I'm not sitting up here saying, oh my God, I don't know why I'm hurting, why my legs are burning, or why I'm having issues with walking. Oh, what is going on? And I'm not going to go to a doctor in the sense of if I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But when he stated that trying to mold yourself to be something that your family for them need you to be, but it's not good for you, you suppress yourself. Suppressing yourself, holding yourself in, you're running, you're being bogged down by the beliefs of what someone else thinks you should be, instead of saying, hey, it's almost like asking your kid, what's your dream? What do you want to be when you grow up? And you make them be something else. You know how many athletes right now, kids that are being athletes, that are being molded to be athletes, that's not their first love. But they have that parent whispering in their ear saying that this is the way out of the ghetto. This is the way to get me that house. This is the way that you can help the family. What if my dream can actually produce that? Because if I love something and it becomes my job, my business, my livelihood, I'm going to do it great. But when he said that, that all brought everything in full circle. And I knew that I just saw this last night. And I knew God had placed it in my lap so that I can explain more than anything of what I was about to say today, or tonight, however you want to say it, about my history. My history is dark. My history is not for the faint of heart. I've been places. I've overcome. And I always knew that at some point it would end, and it had to be by my hand. A lot of people say that, they're waiting for God, right? Or they're looking for a sign from God. But what a lot of people don't understand, that a lot of those signs have already been played several times over. God has visited you several times over. And I can say this because all those prayers that I've asked, get me out of this situation, please open the door for me. Can you help me? I don't want to be here anymore. You know how many times God opened a door for me out of a situation that I placed myself in? And I don't like, and it's just my opinion, God doesn't put anything on you that you can't bear. That is not it. Everything that we're putting on ourselves is what we're putting on ourselves. God has opened the door. God opens the door for you to get away from that. But we choose not to. In some cases, it's too scary because we're used to what we're used to. It's familiar. Relationships, for instance. Why am I going to leave a 8-year toxic relationship knowing that, thinking that I know that no one's going to love me? Well, at least I know I got a house here, somewhere to sleep. I might be getting battered and bruised. My ego may be getting hurt, verbally beat down and stuff, but I have a place here, though. I know this is toxic. I know what's around the corner, but if I let this go and go out there in the world, I don't know what's coming. But guess what? That's the exciting moment about life in itself, the unexpected, not knowing. Not knowing is better than knowing. And what I mean about that is because sometimes, because we know, we tend not to do things that we should do. And we tend to do things that we shouldn't. I would say, let me put that in, let me go back to that. I posted this on my Facebook page, but I'm going to put this in the link for this in the what you call it, because I advise everyone that's having an issue with learning self, listen to this. You need to watch this video, the one that I just played. The whole video, it's an hour long, but trust me, taking the time, I'm going to play another part of that, and taking time out for you to know yourself is very important. You can't tell someone how to love you if you don't know how to love yourself. So this has like been a thing. This has like been that self-help situation that a lot of people are right. Movies are longer and we watch them. So it's so funny how, TikTok, reels are down to an hour, and people say that you have to hold your audience attention. But me personally, I can go to a Marvel movie for 3 hours and be okay. I couldn't do that with Titanic back in the days. They had that little, folks were like, 3 hour movie, we got to have a break in the middle for folks to take a break. But we sit 2.5 hours, 3 hours for a Marvel movie with no problem. You're right. You hit the nail on the coffin with that one. The thing is, I found out also about people. People don't like the truth. Society has us tied up in the fantasy. And the weird thing about fantasy as well, that fantasy is becoming truth. Look at the fact that we have video phones now. That was a fantasy back in the days. We have electric cars. That was a fantasy back in the days. I tell my wife all the time that movie directors, script writers, people that write books, they're our new age prophets in a sense. A lot of that stuff has to come from somewhere. It comes from somewhere. At some point, we all have the ability to look forward, to see things, inventions and stuff. A lot of that stuff that we come up with, some of it has been already done. But for those that are like new inventions that we've never seen before, possibly, it comes from somewhere. It's information being given to you. And so once I start asking what I've been asking ever since I was a teenager, God, allow me to be a vessel for you. And when I finally became real about, like, hey, I know I've said this several times, I'm ready. I know you've been knocking at my door. I'm ready. I know I've fallen off the wagon when you've come in, but I'm ready now. And no matter what you're asking me to do, I have questioned some of the things, yes, because my connection with God has been that ability to, I don't know about that. I can't do that. But then it's shown to me why I should, or just because I question it, I still go ahead and do it because I know that God has never been wrong when it comes to giving me something, commissioning me to do something. And it's funny with that. Before I continue and I end this, I have to show this because a lot of people think I've become controversial, and and I cause a lot of problems. Some of the stuff that I post, oh my God, why are you posting that stuff like that? What's wrong with you, right? Um, you can believe whatever you want to believe. A lot of the stuff that I post, a lot of the stuff that I say, I do sit down and I talk to God about it. Some of the stuff that I don't even sit down and talk to God about it, God just sits up here and say, "Hey, I got you. I need this out," and I do what's spoken of me, right? So there's a TikTok thing that I posted, and I have to show it for you to get the gist of why this person came to me. And this is supposed to be a God-fearing person, I'm assuming, how they stated, whatever. Let me see if I can find this thing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. I don't post so much stuff that I don't think if I go down my timeline, I'm going to find it. I'm trying to see if, let's see, already know, come in on that. I'm just gonna sit that right here. Where is it? Come on. Stop playing with me. Stop it. Nope, that ain't it. No, nope. Nope. Let's see. I thought, nope. I'm finna find it. Trust me, I'm finna find it. No. If I can't find it in a couple more scrolls, I'm just not worried about it. I'm just gonna read what I was gonna read. Come on. Give it to me, God. Give it to me. Yeah. Well, that sucks. Huh. All right. So, oh, look at that. See, I told you I always come in at the right time. I found it. Okay. So, I am going to share this. Give me something else to share. Let's see. Screen share. I'm doing a tab. That right there. We're sharing that. Hopefully, y'all can hear the audio. This is a TikTok that I found.
Like, for example, the color of Christ. And some of these things are took out.
Why does it matter what color? You think God sees color?
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you drive down the street, what color tells you to stop? What color tells you to slow down?
By man. That was made
What
by
color tells you to go?
That was made by
Do
man.
you see color?
But God.
Were we not made in God's image?
Yes.
Then that means I gotta think like God. I have to think like God. I have to
You know
get
what color
logical.
Adam and Eve are.
What color Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
Genesis 2:7. Let's see. Read.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 7. And the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground.
God formed man of the what?
Of the dust of the ground.
Right.
God formed man of the what?
Of the dust of the ground.
What color is that dust?
Really? That's what
That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says.
Man can be white. There could be white in the dust.
God says he sees. So God doesn't see color.
No.
So let's fire raptor color scriptures. Song of Solomon 1 and 5, Jeremiah 14 verse 2. Give me Job 30 and 30. Give me all the color scriptures, and we're gonna go all over the Bible, and then give me Revelations, the last book. Let's see if God sees color. Read.
The book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 5. I am black.
Hold on a second. What color is Solomon?
I am black.
And what?
But comely.
I am black and handsome. Read.
The book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 30. Come on. My skin is black upon me.
Now hold on a second, sister. Did you believe this is God's word?
I believe that God.
Do you believe this is God's word?
Yes.
Okay, so what is God been talking about?
You're twisting it though.
How am I twisting?
Because God sees color, but He doesn't see color the way you're preaching it.
How?
Because Satan uses color to divide us.
Read.
The book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24.
Read this.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
So I agree with the sister. The sister said that the earth is given to the evil, the devil.
That's right.
Well, who runs the earth now?
it out.
White people.
Go.
So who is the devil?
Satan.
Ah!
I thought that was like a funny thing, and I posted it, right? So what's so funny about me posting that, out of everything that I've posted, and even controversial stuff that people feel controversial, this has been one of the most controversial things. It's not my video, but it's gotten over 100 and some thousand views and likes and dislikes or whatever the meme thingies which you've been clicking. But I had someone come to me randomly, send me a whole paragraph, right? This is what I like about church going people. And I'm saying church going people. This particular set of church going people that think in this sense, right? When you get offended. All right, so me, a lot of you guys know that I'm not saying that I don't think that there wasn't a certain person named Jesus. Well, his name wasn't Jesus, but he had another name. But for who we know for Jesus being Jesus, I'm not saying that that person did not exist, right? But I just see God in a different light. And I see God in a different way. And that's my connection with God. And I speak on that because I'm confident in what I believe in and what I see. But that doesn't stop me from being friends with anybody else that believes in Jesus. That doesn't sit up here and make me condemn anybody that believes in Jesus. Again, this is my story. My story is I have a connection with God. Not Jesus through God to get to God. No, I have a connection with God. I know that connection for me. And that's just for me. And anyone that thinks different or sit up here and call me different, that's their opinion. It's not going to bother me. So even though I did respond to this person, this person starts off pretty much kind of like that woman on there and states that, hold on, let me see what Ms. Whitney said first. Question, if she says God doesn't see color, where does white dirt come from suddenly? People love to put God on their side no matter how little sense they make it in the context. Exactly, Ms. Whitney. That's what I was stating to this lovely person that decided to want to come at me. Like, you don't know me. I didn't say anything. It was a video that I posted. And I'm assuming because I posted a video, this is what I'm saying. And that lady did say that white people will rule the world. She basically said that. So he was just going off of what she said. So she put her own foot in her mouth and then she started backtracking. But I'm going to put this person on blast. Mr. Richard says that I just saw your video on TikTok. God does not see color. And that's all I saw. I didn't even read all of it before I responded to him because just like her, God does not see color. But my response to him is, but you do. You see color. Because if you didn't see color, you wouldn't have passed school. You wouldn't have graduated. And he seems to be a person that graduated. In order to graduate from out of elementary school, you have to see color. You have to know what color is. Regardless if you want to put a racial background on it, you still have to see color. So I stopped at that moment and I already knew where this was headed. And so I said what I needed to say, but then I went back and I read it nicely. And he goes on and says, but if you're reading from the King James Bible, which I doubt, preaching on the side of the street, white people are the devil. Not only does God not like your tone or what you preach, but he also said many false prophets will come in my name. Do not be deceived. You are the false prophet. So I'm a false prophet. And I'm not going to go and read all of this stuff. But he also, this is a church-going person, right? I'm not going to tell you that I don't cuss. I can have a sailor mouth sometimes. But this person is coming off on me that he's just biblically sound and he's truly for God. But he got a couple of cuss words in here. And he ends it out of this shit right here, and I'm saying a word for him. Right here is why our country is divided, and it's people like you that keep perpetrating the problem. I hope your family does good. God bless. For me, that's a cursing on my family. That's how I see that. And if you are of God, that full paragraph that you just wrote me, that's not of God, sir. And it's people like you that give God a bad name. And I state this only because I go back to me. Again, I've always had some form of connection to where I felt God has talked to me. I felt that God has directed me, and I ran from it because of people like that. Because people that saw that similar view, that I didn't know what I was talking about at whatever age that I was talking. How could I? I didn't know anything about a Bible. I wasn't baptized. But it's something that my wife says a lot. If God was to come to you as a cat and tell you that the world is coming to an end, how many of us are going to believe it? We're not. So there's going to be a percentage of us going to sit up here and say, God dang, that cat is talking. Let's go on to the night show and let me get some money for it, because ain't nobody never seen a talking cat. I'm going to make some money off of it. A lot of folks probably going to sit up here and kill it, because they're going to be like, what the hell? A cat shouldn't be talking. But these same people that sit up here and won't believe that this cat is God are the same people that are reading the Bible, that the Bible is telling them that God can come to you at any form of fashion. So what stops me from being a messenger from God? You want to know what does? Your beliefs, what you've been taught. So now I round this all the way back to myself. It took me to deprogram myself, unteach myself the beliefs of my family, the beliefs of my peers, of what I had to be in order to be liked, the belief of my previous relationships that told me that, and I knew that I was a good man. I knew that I could be a good dad, but I didn't believe in myself because I was already put in a box before I can even try. Hell, before I could even fail, I was already in the failed box. And guess what I did? I held on to that box. I made that box true to what it was. I became that failure. I became that disappointment to my kids. I became that life. I became that family member. I became that sickness. I'm going to tell you something. It takes a real person to sit and to turn around and accept the fact that they caused themselves to be put into the position that they're in. Now, I'm not talking about somebody physically putting you in a position like I was raped. But I do know that I found myself in that position because of my I'm gonna go ahead and say it, stupidity. I knew something was wrong with that picture, but I walked right into it. God was knocking. Don't go. And you can find a better way to do what you were about to do. Then listen. I didn't listen because I believed that what I was hearing was, I was not supposed to be hearing that stuff. Crazy. That same voice, that same feeling, I take hold of it now. And it has been the best thing ever. That same voice allowed me to find my wife. That same voice has put me in a position to where I'm probably in the best relationship that I've ever been in my entire life with a person. I want to round this show off. Stop being scared of being yourself. Because once you truly be yourself, you'll find out who you don't need to be around and who you can have in your circle. because everybody's not meant for you. Everybody can't handle you. And this goes out to those people that people deem to be crazy and that you feel the need to go kill people. I'm not telling nobody to go kill nobody, but there's something going on. Find out what that is. You can't change that. Like people are seriously hurting people because of they've been running from themselves. And it's like the smallest thing. They just wanted to be a firefighter. But their parents, their friends, their someone left them to defects and whatnot. And so they went through homes and they was abused. And so that dream was put over to the side. And so now they're doing not medieval, but evilish stuff. So stop being scared of being yourself. Absolutely. And it's just point blank. I see on these apps like daily how people, I see this with my kids, how they are so wrapped up on trying to be a trend. Have I done a trend before? Yes, I have done a trend. Not because I want to be the part of the trend, as I don't want to be that trend. If it seems fun, because I haven't tried every trend. All trends are just not great trends. I'm a person that I enjoy having fun. And if I come across a trend that seems fun, I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna hurt myself. You know, like all these trends with relationships where people are doing pranks and stuff with their spouses and all this and faking dying and all this. That's for the birds. It's not a trend I want to get on. No, sir. Nope. But my history is me. Me knowing me and me loving me and me seeing what my worth is. And can't none of you take that away from me. That's your history that you need to go find. Stop allowing people to tell you who you are. And when you find out who you are, and if it just so happened that puts you in a bad situation, accept what you are doing. Just plain and simple. So I want to tell you guys again, like I was saying in the beginning, for those that did not hear, this is not a finale of the Soul for Real Talk in a sense, but this is a cutback. I'm thinking about doing the Soul for Real Talk maybe once a month. If I do decide to do a new season, God is pointing me to what I've been commissioned to do for the longest. Work more on relationships. And I think it was more or less that I had to sit back and allow my wife to see the vision that God is giving us. Because I can sit. It's just like me trying to tell her that I was her husband at the very beginning of our relationship. And her response for that was, God didn't give me that vision. God gave it to me. And I understood that. And this is the same thing about me and her when it comes to the Soulful Pillow Talk. It was a vision that God gave to me, but I know it is for her to nurture and to bring it around full circle. So we're jumping into that. If you haven't noticed, the branding of it's changed. And so we're definitely going to do what we need to do. And when it comes to what the direction God is pointing us in, I'm definitely going to be doing the Soul for Real Talk episodes because there are true things that I need to speak on that God is going to give me, and I'm going to speak on those. I'm just not going to do them weekly like I've been doing. So just be on the lookout for that. And you shall see us, me and the wifey, Mr. and Mrs. Takeover, doing our things. And again, I appreciate everybody that has been rocking with us. I ask that you guys share this, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Again, this season was wonderful. I enjoyed it. And I I don't think there's no other way to end the Soul for Real talk in a sense than letting you guys in on a little bit of myself and truth and why I am where I am at now. For me, it is my connection with God, and I trust my connection. And so you don't have to believe anything that I say, and I'm not going to knock you with that. But I do also say you challenge anything that anybody says, even the book itself. Don't read that book just for that book. Read that book and go to other places. Read outside that book, because you have to understand man wrote that book as well. So with that, again, love you guys. Ms. Whitney, excellent show, incredible. Thank you for the clear truth, so needed. Changing the narrative. Yes, ma'am. That has been a theme that God has led us with, changing the narrative, and we're still going to be doing it with the Pillow Talk. So I ask you guys to definitely be, if you don't know, you can go to anywhere that you listen to your podcast and type in the Sofa Pillow Talk. We're in like the 6th season with that. We've been in the background kind of promoting it a little bit and stuff, but God has said it's time to just unload and give them hell. Nice hell, not bad hell, not the fiery hell, peaceful hell, snow, like snow hell, not ice, which crap, that can hurt you too, can it? All right, so no, we're not gonna give them hell. Okay, talk to you guys later.